So the truth is that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, there's always going to be someone worse than you. I've got a great quote from Bruce Lee. I love quotes, and there's quite a lot in the book. And this one is a favorite one that I would normally read out, but I'm going to take the opportunity. I've got the book. I would normally memorize and read out, but this one it says, so it's, you must be shapeless, formless like water. When you pour water in a cup, it becomes a cup. When you pour water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. When you pour water in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can drip and it can crash. Become like water, my friend. That is obviously a very famous quote that you must have seen, and it is on YouTube, from Bruce Lee. So there's loads of questions that you can ask yourself related to being resilient, but I've got a few here that are in the book. So if you had nothing but needed your family to survive, what would you be willing to do? And I've recommended this previously in some of the other previous webinars. Now, I've got a Legacy Club pad, okay? I'm lucky. I've got a Legacy Club pad. Some of you might have a Legacy Club, but you won't. But you probably got your own pad. What I recommend you do, okay, what I recommend you do, I'm going to do this very quickly. I'm going to show you. What I recommend you do is you write on each page, just write whatever the subject is. So today we're going to be talking about resilience. So write resilience and then start writing empowering questions related to resilience. How can I become more resilient? What does it take to be more resilient? In what situations have I been resilient? When I'm struggling next time, how am I going to deal with the resilience? How can I become more? So if you start writing these questions for whatever subject you do, and you write as many questions as possible and you read them, whatever it is that you're trying to overcome, you're trying to become better at, go to those empowering questions. I'm telling you, the power of asking yourself questions is phenomenal. So I recommend you do that on the pad. So I've got some questions I'm going to be reading out, but you can write your own, okay? You can write your own. So the one I was saying is, if you had nothing but needed your family to survive, what would you be willing to do? If you had to learn something in order to restart your life, what would that be? How many hours would you be willing to work? Or how many jobs would you be willing to do to meet your commitments? If your mental health or your actual life depended on your physical health, how many hours would you be prepared to do or spend in the gym? If the only option you had was to study something, to create a new career, what would that be? So these are questions, which are obviously questions that I've put together in order to help you and ask yourself, empowering questions that are related to resilience. And I'm just going to go through the chat again and see what's here. Okay. Yep. Bruce Lee. Love that quote. I love it too. For me, excuses. Eduardo was saying that for me, excuses is the best way to justify your victim role you choose to play in life. I like that. I read something in Dr. Schwartz's book, Think Big, which is a book I highly recommend. And what excuses are, and excusitis, as he says in the book, is a disease. Unfortunately, it's out there. Is excuses show how incompetent you are in whatever the task you've been given to do. And that might be a personal task that's been given along those lines. When you use an excuse, you're simply justifying why you're incompetent or explaining why you're not capable of doing what you're supposed to be doing. I hate excuses. Put your hands up. I couldn't do it. I didn't know how to do it. I should have asked for help. I should have done it differently. I've learned from it. I'm going to do it differently. Yeah, so please, no excuses. No excuses. I hate people that have excuses. Okay, we're going to get into revolution now. So we've gone through some questions. Obviously, I do talk in the book about key traits in order to become more resilient, because I do believe that resilience can be taught and you can learn it. But basically practice getting your reactions under control, flexibility when it comes down to resilience. Look at those you trust. If you need help, reframe. It's a fantastic one. If this is happening to me now, what are going to be the great outcomes once I come on the other side? How much better I'm going to feel tomorrow once I've gone through all these challenges that I'm going through? So reframe is a really powerful tool. Be grateful. Be grateful because, there are other people in much worse situations. And then the spiritual sense of what is happening to you, and do something, whatever it is, do something, but start moving towards your goal. So revolution. So you can't, with revolution, I'm going to brush through these as well, but obviously what I was trying to present revolution is literally as change. Okay. So the 3 R's, which I obviously cover in the book, are resilience, which is speedy recovery, revolution, which is firm decision or change, and reinvention, which is the process of renewal. So with revolution, the idea around it is that if we review what has happened in the past, and we look at the agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, educational revolution, they've caused massive havoc. You know, whenever they've happened, it's because, you know, that there was a new way of thinking. There's a new society. There was new ways of implementing things. And I believe that, you know, the moment we start embracing revolution, change as something that is positive, something that is required in order for us to grow and evolve, things will start looking and being completely different. So you can't be who you want to become by being who you are today. I'll repeat that. You can't be who you want to become by being who you are today. You can't. If you want to become the best version of yourself, that means that you have to carry on improving. I asked someone yesterday, you know, if they something that they wanted to, that they could become more ideal, and they couldn't think of it. And I just struggle with that, because I think anyone and everyone would want to become a better version of themselves. And there's always something else that we can do to improve. Okay, so Napoleon Hill's foundation quote, which obviously talks about that every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with its seed an equal or greater opportunity. So as I said, in the book, I talk about agricultural revolution and what that represented in time, the industrial revolution. And the fact is that change will happen no matter what. And it's our job to adjust to what's happening. There's a lot of people that opposed revolutions. You know, there was people when we had, when we had horses and you know, Henry Ford invented the car. Well, they stuck to horses, and they said, well, this is never going to go anywhere. And look at it. So unfortunately, a lot of people don't adjust to the time, and they keep fighting it. You know, it's like when computers came in. A lot of people, oh, I'm not going to learn that, or technology. You have to adapt. Things are changing at a phenomenal speed, and either you're on top of it or you're behind it. So change will happen no matter what. It is your job to adjust to what's happening and find the opportunities that will help you prosper. If you close yourself from change, you're going to lose. So how many of you have or are going through some change at this time in your life? How many of you are looking at change still as something that's bad for you? The only thing I would really, if there's anything that we're going to talk about this subject in particular, about reinvention, and we're going to be talking about, about revolution. If we're going to be talking anything about revolution, and we're going to be talking about change, I simply want you to, from this moment on, start looking at change as something positive, and start asking yourself empowering questions related to what you're going through now. Okay. So how me losing my job, how is losing my job going to help me in the future? What can I learn from the adversity that I'm going through now? If this is extremely difficult, how much easier is it going to be tomorrow? What can I learn from this? Who am I going to meet tomorrow thanks to what's happening now? What kind of people will I be engaging with? What are the teachings from what's happening to me now? So start asking yourself really empowering questions related to change and to why change is good. So change, I've got some, Mimi is writing here that change is inevitable, nothing stays the same. I completely agree. And I think obviously we're all talking the same thing, but how many of you are still, I don't know, and I'm not saying us personally, I'm not telling you that when I go through challenging moments, which I have, and potentially I might be at this point, I'm not saying that I don't struggle, but what I'm saying is that I embrace change as I'm looking at the outcome and where I'm going and where this is going to take me. Because I go into my cookie jar, because I go through moments where I've known that I've had, you know, very tough moments and times, and I know I've got on the other side. Look, there's only a couple of things in life that we can't get through, and that's unfortunately at the end of the day is going to be, you know, the day that we leave this world. But apart from that, everything, and it's never too late to just carry on fighting. So embrace change, welcome change, and look at change as something positive, part of you growing, part of you evolving. And in change, there's some things I talk about here, but this is probably already changed by the time I wrote this book. There's 300 hours of video being uploaded on YouTube, almost 5 billion videos watched on YouTube every single day. Self-improvement is $10 billion per year. E-learning is valued at 165 billion in 2015. It's estimated 240 billion in 2023. That's a 5% growth per annum. I'm just really just throwing these figures at you just to show you that how much this is changing, and everything is changing. So be honest. And one of the things we've talked about in these webinars, and we've talked about it before in the past. I'm just going to read out Mimi saying, embracing change and looking at all the positives about the change, even when you're going through adversity, loss, struggle, focus, and positive on that. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I've said several times in the previous webinars, and if you missed any of the webinars, again, you can go to thequestion.co, and I've got some of the previous webinars here. Be honest, okay? If you're going to learn anything or one thing from the book, just be honest. Don't lie to yourself. Don't accept anymore. You would not accept a friend that would be lying to you all the time. You wouldn't. And if you do, you need to come and talk to me. Don't accept anyone lying to you permanently. You don't have to put up with it, but don't lie to yourself. So be honest with yourself. And I want you to be honest with this. Don't be afraid of change. Change is a good thing. Look at it as a positive thing, and simply be honest with embracing it and understanding the advantages of what's happening. And I wrote here that some understand change is going to be uncomfortable simply because they're going to new places. And that's the nature of learning. Everything we've done in life, was always uncomfortable, strange. And after a while, it becomes normal. Everything we've done. So if you're going to have habits, learn new things that are good for you, have good habits. The question is simple. Either you want to be part of the revolution or you're going to be left behind. So there's quite a few things I talk about here within revolution. Some ideas in order for you to be able to welcome change, admit your fears, understand your fear, reframe. We talked about that. Look at the ways that you can make change a friend. What's going on within you? Why is it happening, and how you're feeling? What's the worst and what's the best that could happen? And those should definitely allow you to really review kind of where you're going, which is the next chapter, which is really reinventing yourself. What's happening with this transformation of becoming strong, of being resilient, of being able to deal with adversity because you're capable, because you're optimistic, because you have that inner strength within you that you can do anything, is then going to give you the solid foundation for you in order to look at that revolution and that change and start looking at in the eyes and understanding why that is happening to you, and embracing that change is then going to allow you to start going on to the third R, which is reinvention. And by reinvention, I want to really reinforce this, that I'm not asking any of you to change 100%. Okay, so I don't want you to be from I'm going to talk in meters, a 181 brown hair guy, to become a 2 meters 30, blonde girl. No, I'm not. I'm not asking you to change. I'm not asking you to change dramatically. I'm simply asking to reinvent and to become a better version of yourself. We can all become a better version of ourselves. So it is simply a better you. Now, one of the things I've experienced when I've interviewed a lot of people that I worked with, or a lot of people I've done webinars with. Sometimes, it's not all the times, but 90% of the times, 80% of the times, there's some kind of turning point. There's some kind of turning point in people's lives that get them on a path where they start doing the things that they dreamed of doing, or they start really, living the life that they were destined to live. So this is about you becoming the best version of yourself, reinventing yourself. And I talk about, again, in the book, that there's different types of people that have reinvented themselves. There's the chameleons, and I talk about kind of like, for example, Lord Sugar, and we talk about Madonna, and I talk about David Bowie. And then I talk about the transformers, those people that literally transform their lives. J.K. Rowling, there's Harrison Ford. There's so many great people that have reinvented themselves. I love biographies. I love reading the stories of people's lives because, there's so much inspiration out there if we open our eyes to look at it. But for example, You know, I don't know how many of you knew, but Morgan Freeman, who seems to have been an actor for such a long time, he started his acting role at the age of 52. Ray Kroc, you know, I don't know if you've seen the film, from the guy that obviously not founded, but, you know, bought McDonald's, because he wasn't the original founder of McDonald's. You know, he was selling milkshakes, and he was 52 when he bought a McDonald's from the McDonald's brothers, and the franchise was born. The film, I can't remember the name of the film. Maybe some of you can remember. I saw it on a couple of weeks ago. It was brilliant. And the world saying that I'm in the process of reinventing myself. I discover my real vocation now and facing harder process of detachment where I have to go. Cool, thank you. Andrea Bocelli, he was a lawyer, blind, obviously, and he became a professional opera career singer at the age of 34. J.R.R. Tolkien, you know, this is from The Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit was published when he was 43. His next fiction book, The Lord of the Rings, came out at the age of 62. Trevor Bayliss, you know, he was a swimming pool salesman, a swimmer and stuntman, you know, and then at the age of 48, he began inventing aids for disabled, and he was 55 when he filed his first patent, the Clockwork Radio, which sold for millions. Sylvester Stallone, beautiful story with him, and, you know, how he refused to sell the rights of Rocky, and he was pretty broke. John Hammond, the guy, you know, from Mad Men, he, you know, was waiting tables. And they became Don Draper at the age of 36. But there's so many different ways and so many different stories of people that have reinvented themselves. And the best ways is to really looking at, you know, what is it you want? What is it you really want? We were talking, I was doing an exercise yesterday in a Legacy Club meeting, and we were talking about purpose. And what I wanted, we were talking about passion, and I wanted people to write down what would they be passionate about. And we just did this exercise, which is my life would be ideal when, and then just fill in the phrase, when, whatever, when I've written my book. My life would be ideal when I'm becoming a motivational speaker. My life would be ideal when, write 15 of those, and out of those 15, then pick 5, you know, in order to help you find your passion. I've said this, I'm going to repeat this. I believe that if you find what you're passionate about, if you find what you are passionate about, you will then find your purpose. Once you find your purpose, you will be fulfilled. I think, you know, once you find your purpose, you know what you want to do in life, you're basically not working anymore, are you? Because you're just simply enjoying everything you do. You're engaging with people, you're talking, whatever it is that and then that will ultimately help you leave a legacy. I also believe that as we get older and we start appreciating and understanding the importance of leaving something behind. I think that's why people get into personal and professional growth. I think that's why some entrepreneurs build these phenomenal brands and companies, is because they want to leave a legacy behind. I was in Greece last weekend launching a legacy club over there, and it was pretty phenomenal, because this was this ancient city, which is, you know, it's been there for, well, over 9,000 years, but the Acropolis and all that's been around for 3,500 years. And when you look at Aristotle and you look at all the the Greek philosophers, and you look at their quotes, which we're still reading today, wow, talk about legacies. So, you know, if you do something as powerful and as empowering as these people have, you know, we can all leave a legacy. But then again, don't feel overwhelmed with the ideas that you have to leave a legacy that changes the world, that you create the biggest charity. It's about helping one person. It's about saying the right thing to the right person at the right time. You know, that's a way of you planting seeds in towards leaving a legacy. So, you know, you don't know the ripple effect that that's going to have when you say something nice, you have some kind words to someone. So, but what I will say is that focusing on leaving a legacy is important. So find your passion. Find your passion will help you find your purpose. If you find your purpose, then you're ultimately going to be able to leave a legacy. And one other thing I shared yesterday, which I thought for a long time, and I didn't include in the book, but But I believe that the challenge that we have in life, and a lot of you are a lot younger, like Daniel's very young, but kind of we all have to, and I'm using this as an anchor now every time I go around. So I use this on stage is because I want people to realize that let's imagine that we've got a clock, a countdown watch clock, a digital one, which is literally marking how long we have to be or to live on this planet. So now, if we knew how many days, hours, and months, we would get on with it, wouldn't we? We would really get on with it. We wouldn't be wasting time in doing silly things or focusing on things that aren't important. We would be looking at our lives completely different. But because we can't see it, we just literally get on with life and expect that, hey, it doesn't matter. But the fact is it's there. So if you start thinking that it's there, it might be blurry, you might not be able to see it, but it's there. So do that, because it will hopefully center you. It will hopefully allow you to start focusing more on ultimately what your purpose is and what you're here for, which is what I try to do with the book, is to help you and ask yourself empowering questions all the time. What am I here for? What is my purpose? How can I make a difference? How can I help other people? What do I want to do today? What do I want to do tomorrow? What would I like to do between now and the end of the year? And if you ask yourself those empowering questions, your unconscious mind is going to start finding the ways and the solutions. But if not, start writing them down on the book. So where I was going with that? Well, basically, we've just gone through we've talked about resilience, we talked about reinvention, we talked about revolution. Now, with reinventing yourself, there's obviously, a lot of things that you can do, but look at what you want, understand yourself, be aware of the task in hand, and as far as where is it you want to go, what do you want to do, create new habits, which is the whole process of welcoming change. Change means you've got to do different things. Okay, but welcome change doesn't mean, let's see what the universe throws at me. No, go for change. Go for change. And that means creating new habits. Do things that make you uncomfortable. Work with others, measure, access, and celebrate. I think that's one of the things that I will acknowledge myself that I don't necessarily do. I don't necessarily acknowledge how often, I don't necessarily acknowledge kind of when I've achieved something, when I've done something, and it's something that I'm working on, and I know I've achieved a lot of great things. And there's a lot of things I would like to have done differently, but I am now starting to really appreciate what I've done and what I'm doing and embracing it. So I recommend that you do that. So let me go back here. Okay, Winnie, Transformers, page 102 on the book. The question, just about to read that. Okay, great, thank you. Daniel, 1,000 or 1 billion%. Mimi, yeah, people won't remember by what you owned. They'll remember you by how you made them feel. Yeah. And then Daniel's talking that there's no such thing as the world. There is just 7 billion views, and one can change it. Change it for all 1,000% right on. This is awesome. It's amazing how much you can learn in only 40 minutes. Thank you so much, Daniel. So this is the time now to ask me any questions. I think this is a very important part of the book. I think it's a really important chapter. So if you read it, great. If you haven't read it, look, I would recommend that you did, and maybe read it a couple of times. Learn how to become resilient. Start understanding and appreciating those times and moments when you really need to dig deep and find that inner strength within you. And know that you have it within you. You are capable of so much more. You just haven't pushed yourself hard enough. And whatever it is that you're going through now are challenges that maybe, someone would take your hand and bite your hand off to have that challenge that you're having. Stop complaining, stop whinging. No one wants to know. Stop finding excuses, get on with it. Then the idea around revolution. Welcome change. And what I mean by welcome change is look for change, go for change. If you're still procrastinating about losing weight or going to the gym, get on with it, deal with it. If you're talking about reading a new book or studying a new career, get on with it, do it. If you're talking about, being uncomfortable as you've got to write or you've got to speak in public, get on with it, do it. Whatever it is that, you know, you are struggling or don't want to necessarily do because it's a revolution, it's something that is uncomfortable and different, get on with it. Stop complaining, do it. And then the idea of reinventing yourself. Ideally, who would you like to be? What would you like to do? And know that you are obliged to become the best version of yourself. The book finishes with us understanding that we are here for a reason. What is that reason? For us to become the best version of ourselves. By us becoming the best version of ourselves, we will then automatically, instantly have an impact in our family and loved ones. If you have become the best version of yourself, if you have reinvented yourself, if you go and push yourself and your family is seeing that, they can only feel inspired. Your friends at work, the ones that love you, will feel inspired. But do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. And I say this often. Be prepared to drop some friends. You know, hashtag no negativity. Get rid of, if you've got friends that aren't really helping you, pushing you, embracing you, get rid of them. Get rid of them. I've lost loads of friends over the years, and you know what? I'm a better person for it. I loved them when we were young, you know, and that for me was a long time ago. But I'm just saying is just get on with it. But these are the three pillars that I believe are extremely essential, necessary in order to succeed. And having studied and modeled and read so many people, I think this is it. Eduardo Robles. Okay, I'm going to come back to you in a minute. Okay, Winnie, about the topic of the legacy, I'm stepping out to organize a business event in my location. Okay, having shared the dream and selected a few people for now, I've received a lot of encouragement. Can I invite you to come and share about Legacy Club in this event? Yeah, I'm not sure where you are, Winnie, but yes, look, the Legacy Clubs, go to www.thebestyoulegacyclub.com. I'm launching Legacy Clubs all over the world. What happens is literally, I've created this book, which ultimately helps people find their purpose. That's why it's called The Question, Find Your True Purpose, which ultimately helps you leave a legacy. And what I've started doing is I've started doing these masterminds around the world where we literally connect on a monthly basis and we start discussing legacy. I shared some of these details before. I'm going to repeat again. We spent 7 years watching television, 4 years on social media, 1 year, 6 months pampering, doing our nails, hair. We spend 4 hours a day on our mobile phones, but we probably don't spend even 3 or 4 hours a month, if that, talking and spending time with like-minded individuals, talking about legacy, what our purpose is, and what are we here on this planet for. That's what the Legacy Club is all about. So I'm more than happy to talk wherever I can. If I can't be there live, I'm happy to do a Zoom and talk about it to your group anywhere in the world. How would I find my purpose in life, Jess? Well, it's about asking yourself empowering questions. You know, what are you here for? What are you passionate about? And those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. You see, I can ask you those questions, but you need to ask yourself, Jess, what am I here for? What is my purpose? What do I love doing? What do I feel really attracted to? What really annoys me? I don't know, mental health or slavery or global warming or whatever it is. Ask yourself empowering questions related to understanding, to asking yourself, what is it that I want to do in life? And I just shared that exercise about my life would be ideal when. And if you started writing down when this, when this, when that, out of 15, 20 answers, pick 5. And then out of those 5, that's going to help you potentially help you find your passion and then your purpose. But the whole book is about helping you find your purpose through asking yourself empowering questions. Eduardo, we're about to announce Best You Expo in the US, and that will be in March, 21st of March. It's going to be in LA. I can't confirm the venue yet because we haven't signed the contract, but technically it's done. So with a bit of chance, 95% sure we're going to be running our Best You Legacy Club in LA next year. More coming soon. Daniel's asking me, when was the time you realized the power of resilience? Well, I just thought, you know, resilience is a word that a lot of people are using now, but I started using the word resilience. I started reading about it probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I know there's a lot of people, as I said, have written books and talk about it, but it was, because I'm an NLP modeler, one of the things for me that was important was to model successful people, to model those that have succeeded and stood out in life. And what I appreciated and I understood that they had this strength within them, which is resilience. So I started looking at the most resilient people. And look, anyone that's successful, an inventor, an explorer, an Olympian, someone that's really pushed the boundaries, they are strong. They're capable of keep coming back. And that is obviously resilience. So I started doing some research on that, and it was And as I said, I think it's one of the three pillars: resilience, change, revolution, and reinvention. Winnie, you're in Barnet. Okay, well, let's talk. Send me an email to info@thebestyou.co, and we can schedule something. If I can come and make it, I just need obviously a group of people there. If not, I'm more than happy to log in. Mimi, I'm a coach, counselor, Best You Legacy Club membership. Thanks you for sharing that, Daniel. Yeah, more on the Legacy Club, bestyoulegacyclub.com. Mimi, I'm a coach and counselor and work with a lot of people who overcome with codependency and learning to love themselves and learn to know what wealthy loves look like. I now want to become a speaker and take the show on the road, so to speak, rather than just coach one-to-one. How do I reach more people? Well, you reach more people by, either publishing your book, going and finding platforms where you can share your expertise, looking for like-minded individuals where you can maybe potentially run an event together. A lot of the times people want to do events on their own. Partner up. There might be a group of people that share the same values and ideas that you do. And between 5 or 6 of you, you can run a one-day seminar. You share the cost, you share the marketing, and you fill it up. I'm not going to promote my own expo, but we had 14,000 people in London. And we were expecting, I would say, probably 6,000 people, 8,000 people in LA next year. So that's a good platform for you if you're interested. So that would be kind of my quick advice, Mimi. But put yourself out there. And this is a tip and an advice. If you're looking at writing a book, I think the best books are written once you've spoken. Okay, I've met so many people that have written a book, but they've never necessarily shared their ideas on stage. Does that make sense? Well, it doesn't make sense to me that they do that. So if you're thinking eventually of writing a book, start practicing by sharing your ideas and see that connection. There's nothing like speaking in public into a group of people. Daniel will tell you because he's done that very, very often. What's my biggest revolution? Well, my biggest revolution is I started over again at the age of 38, 40. As a real estate guy that wasn't very good at real estate, and I started all over again. And I keep pushing the boundaries. So, and here I am again. Next year I'm doing 2 expos when I said I would never do it again, one in LA and one in London, literally 4 weeks apart from each other. So pushing yourself, just keep pushing yourself. And keep asking yourself questions, scary questions, really scary questions. Think big. I shared this again a couple of times. People think, first of all, a lot of people don't think. That's what I've learned. A lot of people don't think. They don't think. They don't spend enough time thinking. And I say this, there's no magical quote here, but start thinking more about what you're thinking about. So start thinking about what you're thinking about. And then if you're thinking, what are the quality of those thoughts? Make sure that they are quality thoughts and that they are empowering thoughts. And make sure that they are thought-provoking, and make sure that you ask yourself empowering questions. So start thinking and think big. There's so many people that think too small. I don't understand that. My biggest inspirations. I know it's going to sound, but my mum, my kids, really proud of them. Really, really proud of them. But it's been phenomenal to see so many people that have done seminars with us, attended the expo and then spoke at the expo afterwards 2-3 years later. It's just been beautiful to see kind of how sometimes just putting a seminar together or doing a talk or someone reading your book, it's just lovely how that touches home sometimes and you don't even realize. So you never know who you're going to touch, whose people's lives you're going to touch. Eduardo, excellent. Thank you for answering my question. Looking forward to assist and promote your powerful event. Thank you so much. Andrea, what do you think about the process of inventing a persona with the characteristics you want to develop and then pretending that you are that person in order to change? I'm okay with that. But ideally, if I'm going to walk into that persona afterwards, okay? So in NLP, one of the exercises, deep trance identification, but one of the exercises I do is, for example, I ask people to get into, to walk in to that ideal, to the ideal themselves. And I ask them to walk in as if they were walking into that body, into feeling it and being part of it. So I would want you, if you're going to become or make a persona, make sure that you become that persona and you walk into it and it's eventually you, okay? I don't want to create a different persona. I want to become that persona. I want to have the virtues that persona would have, okay? So guys, I just have to pause for 5 minutes. I thought we were going to leave by now. If some of you have to leave, I'm going to be here, but I just need 2 more minutes. Okay. So just bear with me. I'll be right back. Thank you so much. Apologies. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for that. Apologies for that. What I wanted to say is that that was a great question. And obviously what I wanted to share was the fact is that I believe that creating a persona is a great thing, is a good thing. But ideally, I would want to see myself becoming the ideal person and walking into whoever that person is. So a person that's more confident. And it might be, I don't know, an actor, an actress, an athlete. And I could see myself walking into them and walking into the skin and seeing what they would see, hear what they would hear, and feel what they would feel. And I would want to experience that. And then I would want to bring all that with me to today, to now. And then when I walk out, I'm just literally, I have those assets and those virtues that that person would have. So I'm not sure if you have any more questions. I want to thank you all for being here today anyway. We're going to be running another webinar next week on Tuesday. And as I said, if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about the book, you can find it on amazon.co.uk or amazon.com, or you can go to the webpage, which is www.thequestion.co. Daniel, thank you, man. I need you as my assistant all the time. You're sharing this all the time. Fantastic. I really appreciate it. Michael, thank you so much, Bernardo, for being so brutally honest and direct to the point. So inspirational. You're a great mentor. Thank you so much, Michael. I really, really appreciate that. Petra, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Hugh. Good to have you. Hugh McClendon, who's actually on the webinar now. He's our Legacy Club director for Mid-Ulster. So he's one of the phenomenal directors we have all over the world. And if you wanted to read more, find out more about maybe joining a Best You Legacy Club, go to www.thebestyoulegacyclub.com and you can find out more information over there. Okay. I wanted to thank you all. As I said, this webinar will be recorded. I'll put it on the web page. Unfortunately, I forgot the first 10 minutes, but it will be there. And if there's anything else I can do for you, I hope to help you in any way I can. Thank you so much. Have a great day.